afternoon, Hoover Hawks. So this afternoon we have our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders joining us, and you're in for a very special treat. We have a former Hoover student, Holden Fry. Holden, want to give him a wave? Who is in 6th grade now. Many of you probably remember Holden. And he is here to share a very special project that he has been working on. It took him over a year, I think, right, Holden? To complete this project, but it was well worth the effort and well worth the wait. And he is here. I'm not going to give away too much. I want to keep as much of it a surprise as possible. I'm also here with another special guest, Miss Kim. Raise your hand if you remember back 2 years ago. So 5th graders, you would have been 3rd graders. 4th graders, you would have been in 2nd grade. And 3rd grade, you would have been in 1st grade. Raise your hand if you remember meeting Miss Kim. And if you don't remember meeting Miss Kim, you might remember meeting Maisie, special guest. Little Maisie, Michaela's therapy dog. And Miss Kim came to our school and she taught us all about her daughter, Michaela, and being Michaela's voice. So I know you will be wonderful audience members. You will be respectful and kind. Raise your hand when it's your opportunity. And here we go. Miss Kim.
Thank you guys. It's so good to be back here. After COVID and schools being closed, I was supposed to be back here much sooner, so I'm so glad to be here. And you guys, I just talked to the younger kids, and they didn't know who I was because that was before they got into school. So my job here today is a little bit easier. You remember that I'm Michaela's mom, right? Yeah. Yep. And Michaela, as I think you guys know, but I also think some other people are watching, so I just want to say Michaela was born with a brain injury. And so because she had a brain injury, you guys, your brain works every part of your body, right? Yeah. And she had a really bad brain injury, so do you guys remember that she was in a wheelchair, she couldn't talk, she couldn't see or hear very well. And so you can imagine when she was born not breathing and I learned that she had all these challenges, I was really scared about what her life would be like, right? Like, let's face it, I mean, some people have to live their lives in a wheelchair, but I don't think I'd want to, and I was worried about her life. But I think you guys remember Michaela had a pretty good life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Dr. Gill is going to play a little slideshow about Michaela's life, and then we can talk on the other side. think you guys know, I'm trying to think back, Michaela died in 2019, so when I came here, she wasn't with us, right? She wasn't with me. And so I will remind you that, you know, Michaela was only supposed to live 12 years. The doctor said that her brain injury was really bad and she would only live 12 years. Do you remember how, now somebody who doesn't know, somebody who's guessing, do you know how old she was? 24. She lived twice as long as she was expected to. And I'm not kidding you guys when I say, I mean, I took her, like your parents would do, I took you to the best doctors and the best therapists, and we got her the best education and all of that. But the single most important thing in her life, as it probably is in your lives, was love and friendship and kindness, right? And not because of her, that, by the way, that's her father over there. Not just because of Michael or I or her sister, but really from those kids that she got to meet in her elementary school. And they became middle schools with her. They went to middle school with her, and then they went to high school with her, right? So because of how wonderful they were, they inspired us to start Michaela's Voice. Do you guys remember that we have a little company called Michaela's Voice? Yeah, and so do you think this discussion about kindness and friendship, and by the way, it's not just about being nice. It's not just about opening a door for somebody in a wheelchair, right? It's about really getting to know them. Because when you really get to know someone, you're more alike than you are different. But is it just about people in wheelchairs, do you think? No. And we have some disabilities that are invisible, right? Somebody might have a disability sitting right next to you, and you may not know. They may have ADHD, or they might have dyslexia, or they might have something else. But is this message of Michaela's Voice just about disabilities? No. I think more than ever, right, when schools closed and we were all stuck at home, there was always lots of times when we would have liked to have been somewhere we couldn't be, right? So it gives us a chance kind of to reset and remember that. And remember that everybody wants to be included always. So Michaela's Voice is truly about all of us, right? Do we all have a yellow spot? You might not have a disability, but we all have something that's challenging for us and makes it a little difficult. And none of us like to be teased about it either, do we? No. So again, I hope that you will continue to be Michaela's Voice, which you promised me when I was here 2 years ago, and I'm sure you're still doing that. So for anybody who doesn't know, Michaela's Voice was funded by a grant from the Bureau of Special Education with the Pennsylvania Department of Ed. And through that grant, we partnered with schools, and Miss Gamble, your guidance counselor, called me and said she wanted me to come, and that's how you guys got that assembly in December of 2019. And after the assembly, I don't know if you guys remember, but I told you that I've been looking for someone to write a book about our ladybug with the yellow spot. All ladybugs aren't girls. Was it a boy ladybug, a girl ladybug, how old? And I said to you all, if any of you want to write a book. Well, when I was done, Miss Campbell said, hey, I have someone who wants to talk to you, Miss Kim. Who wanted to talk to me? Me. Yeah. Holden said, do you even remember what you said? That was a long time ago.
I want to try to write a book.
Yeah, he just said, I want to write your book. And I said, well, have at it. And I actually said to Miss Campbell, do you think he's going to follow through? Because right, a lot of times we start something and then we don't follow through. And she said, yeah, I think with Holden, you know, he might just follow through. So anyway, I went home and I came back. Some of you guys know because I came back in February of 2020 to do a wheelchair painting project that we do to show that you can always include everybody in the arts. And so at this point, I guess Miss Gamble will at least let you know the name of some of the artists who worked on that, and you guys can stand up.
Some of you I know were here last night to celebrate with your families the artwork. But if I call your name, I would like for you to stand where you are, and we're all going to wait until everyone's standing, and we're going to give a round of applause to the people that helped with this art project. So first and foremost, Holden is here. He helped with the artwork, in addition to some of his friends who have now moved on to the middle school. So some of the artists aren't with us today, but I believe that Charlie Spear is in the room, Josie Krogar, Jack Marone, Jaden Kabab, Antonio Signorelli, Lincoln Connor, Heath Pyberski, Justice Parker, Maddie Rousey, Ryan Reddy, Caitlin Marone, Shay Broncolini, Derek Harpst, Gavin Blassie, Casey Diven, CJ Hawk, Will Flaherty, Reed Vasquez, Lily Weiland, Ariana Reams, Coralie Shields, Jackson Rousey, JJ Soderberg, Lalo Rivero Guerra, and I believe Holden Fry is the last one on my list. So can we give a big Hoover Hawk?
If you're an artist and you worked on this with Miss Kim, thank you guys very much. You did a wonderful job. Do you remember why we picked, I didn't tell you what artwork we were going to do. You guys decided what you were going to do. Do you know why we chose those words or the image? Does anybody remember? It was 2 years ago. You know.
Because I think the hood that goes up is stands for choose kind, of the one that goes down is T.
And you weren't even part of the art project, were you? That means you guys got it right. That's exactly what you guys wanted. So our artist chose choose kind because kindness can be represented with a heart. And they turned the heart upside down because not only is it okay to be different, we celebrate differences here at Hoover, right? All right, you guys can sit down. She did your work for you. I'm glad though, it means your message got out. So when I was here working with the kids on the wheelchair painting, I said to Hoover, how's your book coming? And he's like, I've been working on your book. So tell them, is the ladybug a girl or a boy?
The ladybug is a girl.
And how old?
Teenager.
And what's her name?
Dot.
And I remember saying to you, well, what's your book about? And you told me the beginning of it. What did you tell me?
I said it was about a ladybug that lives in a pumpkin, and one day her pumpkin was picked.
Which I thought was so creative, because what he meant was, when we all go in, usually October, to the pumpkin patch on field trips, and we all get to bring a pumpkin home. Well, somebody brought home Dot's house. So she had a problem, right? Yeah, we'll let you share that a little bit later. So schools closed, unfortunately, in March 2020. And then Mrs. Gamble called me in June of 2020 and said, hey, Holden finished writing your book, and he would like to read it to you. So I was able to get on a video call with Mrs. Gamble and Holden, and he read me the book, which is simply amazing. But I'm not going to tell you any more about that because I don't want to ruin that. But in the meantime, and then I said, wait, who's going to illustrate this book?
I said I would try.
Yeah, he knew it was going to be a lot of work, and it was. Did you know how much work it was going to be?
No, not at all.
Hold on, I'm a little, what do they say? Don't ask a question unless you know the answer, but I'm going to go there. Would you do it again? Well, no, was it worth it to get that beautiful book? You're going to be on the news at 7 o'clock, dude. He just said to me, he goes, I didn't know they were coming. I go, you're going to be on, he goes, what channel? I go, I don't know, KDK, I don't know. Anyway, so in the meantime, he and I started working, and every week we did a video call, and you got on, and I actually did nothing but keep you company. You did all the hard work. But Mrs. Gamble got to share your book. So when we were all working from home, do you remember what month? October of 2020, when we were all learning from home, I told Holden, I promised you, that if you write a book, I'm going to use it in a lesson. Because I visit all of my students twice a month, and we talk about kindness and inclusion. So I said, Holden, if you finish that book, I'm going to make sure I read it to everybody in the school. At that time, I wasn't sure it was going to. But Holden and his mother sent me a copy.
So I have one of the original drafts of the book. It had no pictures. But when we were on a Google Meet, Holden and all of his friends were on the computer. And I said, I'm going to read you a story, but there's no pictures yet. And I said, I want you to think about the message of the book, and I want you to think about maybe who the author is or how old the author is. Because Holden and I had a very big surprise plan for them. I read the story, and when it was over, I asked the children, I said, does anybody have any idea how old the author might be? What was one of the guesses?
55?
55. We got 55. Yeah, I took notes. And then I said, no, the person's not 55. Another guess was 38. And then someone said 65. And I said, no, this could take all day, right? They weren't going to guess. I said, does anybody have any idea who the author is? And I gave them a hint, and I said, I know the author. And they got real excited. And what was one of the guesses?
Dr. Gill.
Dr. Gill. And some of the children thought Dr. Gill wrote the book, and I said she could certainly write an amazing book, but it was not her. Another guess was?
Mrs. Fisher.
We had a guess of Miss Fisher. I said, nope, not Mrs. Fisher.
Mrs. Pitzer.
Mrs. Pitzer teaches the LA. We had a guess of Mrs. Pitzer, and I said no. It dawned on me that this was going to take a very long time. So I decided that I was going to surprise them. And when we were all in our little picture squares on Google Meet, Holden identified himself as the author. And every student in his class was like, they could not believe it because they knew Holden and they had no idea what he had been working on during the pandemic that summer. So boys and girls, Holden was 10 years old when he wrote that book. And that goes to show you that anything you want to do, you can do. It doesn't matter how old you are, but if you set your mind to it and you work hard and stick with it, you can do anything. And I am extremely proud of this friend of mine. So there was another promise that I made you. You promised to write a book. And then what did I promise? So guess who has a job now?
You.
I do. I'm going to give Holden this first draft of his book because today he brought me a beautiful copy with pictures. So my job this summer is to write a lesson. And I promised Holden that I'm going to share it with all of my counselors in the Mount Lebanon School District. And our hope as a counseling department is that we are going to read Holden's book about kindness and inclusion next year in all of the Mount Lebanon schools. So we're going to turn off the lights, and I hope you enjoy a slideshow. Part of it is the artwork that the artist did, and the second part is Holden's experience.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh, yeah. what you really mean to me. Every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what really matters when we are called to have our friends again. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. Count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you. I'm a little ladybug, full of peace, full of love. Flutter here, flutter there, loopy, loopy, loopy. Because I've been when if you look close, you see. It's beautiful. One yellow spot, last I've made my forget. It's magical, shines like the sun, sharing its color with everyone. It's wonderful. Oh, can't you see that makes you you, and this makes me my one yellow spot, my pure polka dot. It's beautiful. I'm a little ladybug. I can kiss so much goes inside me. You can get it off me. You know what people say, and I'm lucky. A little bit of tail light of mine, always and forever shine. It's beautiful. One yellow spot, the last I've paid my forget. It's magical, shines like the sun, sharing its color with everyone. It's wonderful. Oh, can't you see that makes you you, and this makes me me, my one yellow spot. Believe it or not, I love who I am. We've all got what we got. My megawatt, thanks a lot. Sweet honey pie, my perfectly punctuated polka dot. Great Scott, it's beautiful.
Hoover, you surprised me because I had planned to have all of you sing along a little bit later. I was trying to surprise Dr. Gill and Miss Kim and Holden because I shared that song with all of your music teachers, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because when we try to be kind and include everyone here at school, all of our teachers want to participate. And so the music teachers had a lot of fun sharing that song with you. And after Holden reads his book, I'm going to show you a video of the person who wrote and sang the song. And you'll be able to sing along if you like, okay? Well, without further ado, Dr. Gill. All right, so friends, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Today is Holden's very first author visit. He had a practice with our kindergarten, first, and second graders that went wonderfully. And he is here to officially share the spot with all of you. So, Holden, you want to take your spot and read the spot? Let me go on the video.
The Spot by Holden Fry. This book is dedicated to my dog Dexter, who's been my best friend since I came home from the hospital. Hi, my name is Dot. I'm a teenage ladybug with a cool and different look, and life is good. But it wasn't always that way. Life was cool when I was younger. I used to live at the pumpkin patch at Otto's farm, until one day my parents dropped the ball. We were moving. They told us this one day after there was a school field trip and our pumpkin was picked. Mom and Dad told me that we would be moving to the sunflower garden, 2 fields away. It wasn't that far, but there was one really big problem. This meant a new school. I didn't think much about it at the time. I was so focused on summer and playing with my BFF Lucy. That night, my family slept over at Lucy's house. It was so cool. The reason Lucy's my best friend is that she doesn't mind my yellow spot, my curly antenna, and the fact that I cannot fly. The next day, my parents woke me up really early and said, "It's time to go to our new house." I did not want to go, so I ran and hid in the best hiding spot I knew. After a few minutes, I was pretty bored, so I decided to peek out of the toy box and saw my dad at the entrance of the pumpkin. He turned his head and saw me. The gig was up. I said goodbye to Lucy and her family, hopped on my dad's back, and we flew away. As I rode to our new home, I felt overwhelmed and scared. When we got to the sunflower, I waved at our new neighbor. As soon as he saw me, he turned and flew away. This isn't the first time something like this has happened to me. Many other ladybugs have been scared because I look different. Having this big yellow spot on my back has been a real obstacle, but my parents always say, "We love you, Dot. Don't let that get you down." I went into that house to look at my new room. It was big. My parents asked me what I thought of the new house. "It's fine," I muttered. What I really wanted to say was, "It's nothing like my old room in the pumpkin, and the neighbors don't seem very kind." That night, I laid in bed and couldn't fall asleep. My parents came in the next morning bright and early to wake me up. I put my head under my wings. I was so tired from the night before, but my parents wanted to take me to see my new school and meet my new teacher. This school is way different from my other school. It's located under a shed, not in a pumpkin. When we arrived at the school, we were introduced to my new teacher, Mrs. Mel. She seemed really nice. She showed us around and even gave me a nectar pop. Miss Mel was pretty cool, and I began to feel a little bit better about starting at a new school. The next week, school started. Surprisingly, I was pretty excited and feeling much better than I had before. When I got to school, Miss Mo introduced me to the class. Everyone just stared at me. One kid even jumped up and flew to the hall. Everyone else started to point and whisper. Some even laughed. My teacher told them to stop. When I got to my seat, my desk partner moved to another desk. I felt sad and excluded. That day was really hard. At lunch, I had no one to sit next to. At recess, it was boring with no one to hopscotch with. My day was terrible. When I got home, my parents asked, "How was school?" Holding back tears, I said, "It was the worst. I made no friends and they ignored me. I never want to go back there again." My parents gave me a big hug, reminded me how much they loved me, and told me things would get better. My mom said to me quietly before bed, "Dot, as soon as everyone gets to know you, they will love you as much as we do." She kissed my curly antenna and tucked me tightly into bed. The next morning, remembering what my parents had said, I pushed through all my doubts and fears and got myself ready for school. The same thing happened again on that day, but this time there was a new kid. He took my cabbage piece and my favorite pen. I felt terrible. That day, I tried to run away. I never wanted to see any of them again. I ran into a nearby clover forest, sat down under a clover tree, and cried. Once the tears stopped, I stood up and looked around. I noticed something interesting. The clover that I was sitting under had 4 leaves. It was different from all the others in the clover forest, just like I am different from the other ladybugs. I wondered how that clover tree felt to be different from all the others. Once I felt better, I went home and told my parents I found a 4-leaf clover tree. I wasn't sure why they were so excited, but they explained to me that 4-leaf clover trees are known for bringing great luck. I wasn't completely sure if I believed that, but little did I know, indeed my luck would start to change. It was getting late and time for bed. The next day at school, we found out that the crickets were moving into our school for 3 days. A dog had stepped on their school that day before, and they needed to come and have school at our place. We had never had crickets at our school before, and I never met a cricket face to face. I felt very nervous. When they arrived, my teacher introduced them to us. I sat next to a cricket named Poppy. She didn't mind how I looked. She was actually really kind. All the boys were laughing and making fun of how the others looked different. When the teacher overheard how the boys were treating each other, she reminded us that our school counselor, Miss G, looks different too. Miss Mo invited Miss G to come and lead a guidance lesson about differences with our class. Miss G explained that we're more the same than we are different, and read us a book. Once finished, she asked us to tell her what the story was about. The first person to raise their hand was Jack, the boy who took my pen and stole my cabbage yesterday. He replied, "I understand what you mean. Even though we look different, we all have feelings. We all have a heart. We all want to be liked and have friends, and we all just want to be happy." I wasn't really nice to Dot yesterday. I apologized for what I did. Miss G thanked him for being honest, and she handed him a golden sticker. The rest of that day, things were different. I actually started to get to know some new bugs, both ladybugs and crickets. Jack and Hoppy were the first 2 bugs I made friends with. I had 2 friends to sit next to at lunch and play with at recess. The next day, Jack and Hoppy told their friends how nice I was, and then they came to play too. I never thought that I would make friends, and yet here I am. That day, I felt a leap of joy in my heart. I felt different. I mean, I always felt different, but I realized I could finally be happy for who I am. Even though I look different, that does not mean I cannot make friends and be me. I'm happy to be just as I am. Dot with the one and only spot.
help me deliver them on Monday, because our celebration has gone a little longer than I thought. So we will do that on Monday. I'm going to ask your teacher if I can borrow you. You can help me on that. All right. Hoover Hawks, can we get one more round of applause for everybody? Now, Holden, is there anything else you'd like to say to our Hoover Hawks? Any words of advice? Anything like that? No? Let me ask you a question, Holden. Was writing this book challenging?
Yes.
Did it take a long time?
About 2 years, yeah.
2 years. But you set a goal to write that book, right? Did you hit some bumps along the way?
Yeah, every so often.
Were there times in that 2 years that you wanted to give up and quit and just forget you started the whole thing?
Yes.
Are you glad you stuck with it now?
Yeah, I am glad I stuck with it.
Friends, are we glad that he stuck with it now? It just goes to show that some of the best things in life aren't always easy. But if you stick with it and you keep trying, and I bet you even every now and then got a little encouragement from your family, from your friends, from Miss Kim to keep going. Did that happen too? I know Miss Kim shared she had weekly meetings with you. And I heard maybe, did your grandma do some walking on the treadmill to keep you busy down in the basement? Or to keep company down there? So you had a lot of support from people who care about you. And sometimes in life you're going to run into things that are hard, friends. And it's important that you look around for the people who care about you. And everybody in this room, we're some of your people. And the people who live in your houses with you, they're your people. But it's important, even in the hard times, that you keep going. And we just went through some hard times in the last couple of years, didn't we? But now we're back here together, and we get to celebrate Holden and this outstanding accomplishment. And I'm just so thrilled to get to be here. Friends, this is a big deal, and I want to share some awesome news with you. The law firm of Steidel and Steinberg, they have purchased 1,000 copies of Holden's book. And listen to this. Those copies of those books are going to be delivered to every single kindergarten and first grade classroom in all of Allegheny County. That is a big deal. Every kindergartner and first grader is going to have a copy of Holden's book in their classroom. Now, friends, do you think that is a good book for kindergartners and first graders to read? Absolutely. That is an amazing accomplishment. And because of all of Holden's wonderful work, I also have another special guest to introduce to you this afternoon. Carol Clancy. She is from the Pennsylvania Department of Education's Bureau of Special Education. She's the Director of Special Education for the whole state of Pennsylvania. And she is here to present Holden with a very special award.
It's such a privilege to be here to hang out with the Hoover Hawks and to present this award to Holden for the outstanding job he's done creating this book. If there's anything we all could learn from this, and you heard how many students in classrooms are going to get a copy of this book, that one person, no matter how old you are or how young you are, can make a significant difference in the lives of other people. And Holden has done just that. So on behalf of the Pennsylvania Department of Education, Governor Wolf, Secretary Ortega, and Dr. Smith, and the Bureau of Special Education, thank you so much. And we're presenting you with this Award of Excellence for being an example of acceptance, belonging, and inclusion. Thank you very much.
And friends, there was a character character in Holden's book that reminded me of somebody here at Hoover. Anybody recognize or catch that character? Reminded me a lot of someone. Elizabeth. And who did Mrs. G remind you of? Mrs. Gamble. I don't know if Mrs. Gamble was the inspiration for Mrs. G, but they certainly do have a lot in common, those two. And we are lucky to have Mrs. Gamble here with us. And I think now we're going to pass the mic over to Mrs. Gamble.
If it goes up, otherwise I think I could get it.
If you want to sing along, Hoover, you can.
I'm a little ladybug, full of peace, full of love. I flitter here, I flutter there. I go loop-de-looping through the air. My colors, they are black and red. Two antennae on my head. But if you look close, you'll see it's beautiful. My one yellow spot, my last dab of paint, my forget-me-not. It's magical, shines like the sun, sharing its colors with everyone. It's wonderful. Come on, can't you see that makes you you, and this makes me me. My one yellow spot, my pure polka dot. It's beautiful. I'm a little ladybug. I can get the biggest hug. So much love inside of me. You can have it all. You know what you will say if I land on you directly. You'll be say about a time. Always and forever. It's beautiful. One yellow spot, my last dab of paint, my forget-me-not. It's magical, shines like the sun, sharing its color with everyone. It's wonderful. Come on, can't you see that makes you you, and this makes me me. My one yellow spot. Believe it or not, I am who I am. We've all got what we got. My megawatt, thanks a lot. Sweet honey pie, my perfectly punctuated polka dot. Great Scott! It's beautiful.
Okay, thank you guys so much, and thank you for singing that song. And we only have just a few last things to do. And the first thing is, Holden and I definitely want to. I know I invited you guys to be Michaela's. I'm gonna fall off the stage. Invited you guys to be Michaela's voice 2 years ago, right? Yeah. Have you kept your promise? Yeah. Will you continue to keep your promise? Yeah. All right. Well, we have a very special way to do that next Monday.
Yes, Monday is a very special day. Does anybody know Monday what we are celebrating on Monday? Shay, what are we celebrating on Monday? It is World Down Syndrome Awareness Day. That is correct. And Mrs. Gamble is already getting ready for the celebration. She's got her mismatched socks on, her silly socks. Will you all join us on Monday in celebrating World Down Syndrome Awareness Day by wearing some silly or mismatched socks? And then I think, Mrs. Gamble, am I right? We've got a special Hoover Buddy project to do. So we have the older buddies in this group. You will be teaming up with your younger buddies. Third graders with the kindergartners, fourth graders with the second graders, the first graders and fifth graders with the second graders. And you're gonna read a story called High Fives and a Big Heart with Mrs. Gamble and do a fun activity in honor of World Down Syndrome Awareness Day. And this is gonna be a wonderful way for you to continue to be Michaela's voice.
On behalf of Hoover School, we just bought you a very, very, very small plant in honor of your daughter. I found something that has some red roses in it that made me think of a ladybug, and I tried very hard to find one yellow flower, but as you will see, there are some red flowers on here, there are some yellow flowers on here, and I hope that you will put this somewhere special in your yard. Always think of Michaela, but I also want to thank you for being my friend, and I want to thank you for all of the lessons you have helped me share with my Hoover Hawks. And Holden, I can't be more proud of you than I am. You've done an amazing job. These tears are nothing but happy tears and grateful tears to Dr. Gill, to Mrs. Gamble, to all of Hoover Elementary School, and all of you guys. You guys are why we started Michaela's Voice, to give you guys an opportunity to make the world a better place, and I know you can do it. And I didn't leave Holden out. I saved him for last. Please give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, Miss Kim. Thank you, Holden. Friends, this is just a great reminder that you can do anything you set your mind to. And one of the things that I know you set your mind to every day is to be the best possible version of yourself and to go out there and spread kindness in the world. So keep doing that each and every day. And if there's a goal you want to accomplish, think of our buddy Holden and stick with it. You can get there. Lean on the people around you who care about you. Together, we're going to make this world a better place. So thank you for coming. Thank you for celebrating with us. At this time, I'm going to ask you to look to the direction of your teacher, and you'll head up to your classrooms, and I hope you all have a hot, sunny weekend.